Welcome to Mo's World, the baseball podcast. Yep, another baseball podcast. Here we talk about baseball like a few friends sitting at the bar.
Awesome.
We welcome your input and look forward to your comments. Okay, in our 7th episode of Season 3, it's opening day. Wow, Yankees versus Giants, Wednesday night to open the season. That was a bit different. I kind of like the one game early, then boom, the season starts the next couple of days. You got to ask yourself, are the teams really ready? You know, having to cut short spring training due to the WBC? I know. All the players have a certain amount of swings and pitches. They need to be ready, and most players, they appear ready, and they're ready before spring training even ends. The pitching this year doesn't seem to be ahead of the hitters as tradition. Let's look at the 10-plus run games this spring, and you gotta wonder, right? Well, the 2026 San Francisco Giants. Since they're opening up against the Yankees, is anybody really aware of the Giants? They have to be entering the season with a sense of optimism. They've made a lot of changes to their roster, and they're looking to improve from last year's third place finish behind the Padres and, of course, the World Series champion Dodgers. They finished 12 games behind the Dodgers. You can't forget who they have at first base. Rafael Devers, he seemed to have the most quietest year ever for a 35 home run, 109 RBI season. He produced for the Giants, but I didn't hear much about him after the Red Sox traded him. Was it a East Coast, West Coast thing? Well, one thing is for sure. Devers is not a 236 hitter. I don't know what the fuck happened to him last year. I fully anticipate his power numbers to be strong and back into the season where he's hitting in the 270s because he's another one of those RBI machines and a model of consistency. Just looking at his previous years, you know, if you don't remember, Devers debuted in 2017 with the Red Sox, and right away, it seemed to me like he was a Yankee killer. He kills the Yankees, so they must be thrilled that they don't see him regularly anymore, and he's all the way on the West Coast. But he produced so many years of similar stats. 2019, he played 156 games, so he's durable. 32 home runs, 115 RBIs, hit 311. Then 2020, the shortened season, he had a good year there. And then back to full throttle in 2021. He played 156 games, 38, 113, hitting 279. So even last year, like I said, he seems to be vanishing in the West Coast. But let's see if he can make some noise with the Giants. Because who else do they really have? So they signed Harrison Bader in the outfield. Now, that's not what I would consider a major new player, but he can spark a club with his play. At shortstop, Willie Adames, I think he needs to reestablish himself and have the kind of year he produced in Milwaukee. He needs to be more of a threat this year for the Giants. And playing second base, look at this. Everybody said that he is terrible at second, and nobody wanted to put him at second, but he did sign with the Giants, Luis Ariz, and of course we know he can hit, but it's always about his defense, so we're gonna have to see. As far as their bench and bullpen, well, they've got a lot of players with flexibility to cover multiple positions. The bullpen is still a work in progress. Ryan Walker is expected to be the closer, but his last season was no prize. He saved 17 out of 24 in opportunities while pitching to a 4.11 ERA. The starters are led by Robbie Ray and Logan Webb, so those two guys everybody's pretty familiar with. Now, Mostradamus has predicted a second-place finish this year for the Giants at 83-79. So let's see how he fares. As far as the Yankees, I think you guys are pretty familiar with the Yankee team this year. It's basically last year's team with a different bullpen. Better? I don't know. Obviously, it's too early to say that. It's different. I guess you have to wonder how the repeat will work out. I actually think it was a good move to send Jason Dominguez to AAA. If he is going to be worth a shit, maybe he can build his confidence while producing there for the year. He needs to hit to all fields and use his speed. So, Netflix, what did you think of the game? Did anything stand out for you watching? I know. Another option for us to tune into. The opening to me was a joke. 15 minutes of carnival shit just to start the game. And who was that freaking comedian? He sucked. After the Yankees put up 5 in the second inning, it seemed like everyone was on cruise control after that. I did find it funny that practically the entire team had hits and runs scored as Judge went 0 for 5 with 4 Ks. Not a good start for the MVP. And now Max Fried, he has a way about him. Well, he reminds me of another Yankee pitcher. Recognize the name Mike Mussina? Well, he reminds me of Max Fried in that Fried pitches to what is needed. He keeps his team in the game. He may not look sharp and dominating at all times, but if it's a 2-1 game he has to win, or if it's a 6-5 game that he's, bulling his way through, that's what makes me think of Mike Mussina. And don't forget, Mussina spent his entire career in the American League East at a time when the American League East was pretty dominant. And he won at least 11 games in 17 consecutive seasons, which was an American League record. So that's a pretty good comp in my book. Now, the Netflix broadcast of the Yankees and Giants game, it featured familiar names like Matt Van Surgen as the play-by-play announcer, with CC Sabathia and Hunter Pence. I don't know. I'm not sold on him yet. L. Duncan did the pregame and postgame coverage, and analysts were Albert Pujols, Anthony Rizzo, with Lauren Shahada, who seems to be in everything. But the thing that was funny to me, I was just amazed that CC Sabathia refrained from saying fuck. Now, the lineups, they were pretty, I guess they were no surprises, right? From what we saw in spring training. So what we expected for the year, these are going to be the players for these two teams. As far as Logan Webb, after wrapping up a definitely successful stint with Team USA at the World Baseball Classic, Webb made his 5th consecutive opening day start for the Giants. And that's the second longest streak in their franchise history, behind Hall of Famer Juan Marichal, who made 6. So the 29 right-hander finished 4th in the National League in Cy Young voting after leading the majors in innings and the National League in strikeouts with 224 last season. Now, I love opening day, and this was a weird format, just one team playing. But don't you think opening day or opening day week should be like a national holiday? Perhaps at one time it could have been, but I don't know. Baseball is really like any other sport of business now. The addition of competition for the dollar has changed baseball. There's so many choices. I guess it's not the national game anymore. And that probably ended in the 80s. I'm sure you can cook up and look all kinds of different various TV kind of ratings and stuff like that. But baseball's history and it's the compelling challenge of comparing players through the eras in baseball that makes it unique. Do you really hear other people debating other sports stats like baseball fans do? No, not really. Yeah, I know all sports have changed. Most are specialized now. Well, probably all of them. It makes it hard to try to compare the players from different decades. But baseball, it seems different to me. Perhaps I'm out of touch or off base, but seriously though, this game, it already said a lot. Teams are not really looking stronger this year, but it should be interesting how the teams play the aspect of ABS. You got to wonder if some teams have mandates on when and if players can use it. I don't really hear anybody being honest about it. It's just kind of blowing smoke right now. Will teams wait until late in the games to use it? Are they going to save one like a timeout? We'll have to see. I didn't really see anything major on the openers, but we'll have to monitor that. So it was a pretty full slate of games on Thursday. The Pirates and Mets got us started with a good old-fashioned day game, and the Guardians and Mariners wrapped it up in Seattle. Now, you can check the games out in detail that interest you. I'm only going to talk about particular games that interested us for the overall season. Unfortunately, we are in production of the podcast and can't comment on all the games from Thursday night. But did you catch the game on NBC Peacock? That was the Mets game. You know, they've had productions before, so they weren't as far-fetched and outrageous as Netflix was. But the Mets and Pirates, of course, most people are tuning in to watch Paul Skeens, right? Is he for real? Does he have another sub-2 ERA in store for us for this year? Maybe his first 21 season. Well, he looked human on game one. And all I can think of every time I see Paul Skeens is that Pirate fans are so gonna miss him. Because he just looks like an individual who's ready to bolt the Pirates in 2030. He looks like he's just bidding his time. Now, the Red Sox versus Reds. You could arguably say that the third best pitcher in baseball, Garrett Crochet, is he going to produce another great year for the Red Sox? Well, better yet, what kind of season is Roman Anthony going to put together? I'm definitely a fan of his. The Tigers at the Padres. Now, this was definitely the best pitcher in baseball. Tarek Skubal seems to be ready for the season. Damn, this guy is so consistent. The question is this year, can he carry the Tigers and Framber Valdez? What are they going to do? Hey, you had to catch this one, right? White Sox versus Brewers. Jacob Mizorowski, he looks ready for the season. Holy crap. When I saw that he threw 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, he struck out 11 guys. And I thought most starters would be around 75, 80 pitches, something like that. But the Miz, he threw 94 looking sharp, even if it was against the White Sox. Now, over on the West Coast, there was one game that played in the afternoon that definitely had my interest. 2 teams, the Angels and Astros. Yep. Well, yeah, there are probably 2 teams that will be playing out the season come September. But what was interesting about this game was Mike Trout. Yes, he started, batting second, playing center field like old times. He went 1 for 2 with an RBI, a run scored, 3 walks, and a mammoth 403-foot drive to left field that seemed to say, I'm not done yet. Shit, I hope he can stay healthy and prove everyone wrong about being finished. This is exactly what opening day is all about. Sorry we missed the late games. I didn't see the results of the Dodgers and Yamamoto. It'll be interesting to see him this season as he made such an impact with the Dodgers in the playoffs and World Series. Everyone knows his name now. He's not going to surprise anybody. And speaking of new, did you realize that there's 10 new managers in Major League Baseball for this season? Now, the wild thing is that this is the most new managers to start a season since 1901. Holy cow. So we've got, to run them down quick, Skip Shoemaker with the Rangers. He's had previous manager experience. Craig Stammen with the Padres, brand new manager. Derek Shelton with the Twins. He was previously managing the Pirates, so he's got previous experience. Over in I'm sick of this name too, Los Angeles. Hey, by the way, did you hear that Anaheim is suing, or if it's not suing the Angels, they're kind of holding them hostage over fixing up the field because they want to be known again as the Anaheim Angels. They want them to drop the Los Angeles. Hey, more power to Anaheim. This makes no sense at all, especially what they went through a few years ago. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. What the fuck? What was that all about? Well, anyway, Kurt Suzuki will be their new manager. Over in Colorado Rocky Land, Warren Schaefer. No idea who he is. I'm going to have to look him up a little bit more. He's a new manager. Blake Butera, going to be a new manager with the Washington Nationals. And Carlos Mendoza. He's a familiar name, but he's going to be a manager with the Mets for the first time. He's a previous MLB coach, and he previously managed in the minors. Lamar Kotze with the A's. He was a previous manager. He's new to the A's, though. Torey Lovello with the Diamondbacks. Previous manager as well. And Tony Vitello of the San Francisco Giants, who was a college coach. Now, 6 out of 10 have never managed before in the majors, so good luck is all in order for them, no doubt. And looking at the hire of Tony Vitello of the Giants is really kind of unique. Buster Posey played a major role in hiring him as the new manager of the Giants. He felt Vitello's innovative coaching style and commitment to player development was what was needed for the Giants. Now, Posey believed Vitello's energy and passion for the game aligned perfectly with the values of the organization. So this is a big-time opportunity, and it may awaken Major League Baseball's awareness to other college coaches. Why not? It seems the NFL is interchangeable with the college level, so it's not out of touch, right? Now, you gotta love the opening day assignments and lineups for each team. Why? Because you know they're going to change so much as the season goes on. This is the thing with baseball. 162 games we're playing. You know, that's twice as much as any other league. And if you're following a particular player once again this year, what games did you watch for the opening day? Once again, we're going to be following a few players this year to see if they're in line with our Hall of Fame prospects. Now, you guys remember the podcast we're referring to, right? That's Season 1, Episode 22. Hall of Fame voting criteria / Pete Rose status. Now, this was the podcast we referred to in establishing the STAR guidelines. I hear you. What players are we watching this year? Well, definitely the players to watch. Roman Anthony of the Red Sox. I want to know how he's going to fare in his first full season, hopefully, right? Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles. He's entering his fourth full season. Will he put up that elusive 40 home run, 100 RBI season? Will he produce at a 900 OPS? We'll find out. Bobby Witt Jr., the Royals. He's pretty much established as the third best player in baseball behind Judge and Ohtani. Can he win his first MVP in leading the Royals? Amazingly, it is his fifth full season in the major leagues already. Over with the A's, Nick Kurtz. Wow, after his standout rookie season, he only played 117 games, producing 36 home runs, 86 RBIs. He scored 90 runs and had a .290 average. So the intrigue to this season is not it is definitely, that is the least thing that you can say is intrigue. I want to see Nick Kurtz play. And here's another guy I want to see play. Ronald Acuna Jr. Braves. Wow. If you are a Braves fan, can you believe that this is the last year Acuna is under contract? Yep. He's entering his 8th year of his $100 million contract extension from the Braves. Team options do exist for 28 and 29, and this is another player who in 8 years has shown Hall of Fame caliber play, but he's only played a full season in 2 out of 8 years. Holy cow. He may never come close to his 2023 MVP season, but the Braves need him to show he can stay healthy and produce. The Braves and baseball will be watching to see if he turns into a declining Mike Trout or has plenty to prove. This is the main player in Major League Baseball this year that will impact his team the most. The Braves need Acuna to win. It's as simple as that this year. Now, Elly De La Cruz, the Reds. Cruz is entering his 4th season with the Reds. So far, he's been a dynamic, exciting player, but he seems unable to take it to the next level while carrying the Reds on his back. Don't ever expect 67 steals from Cruz ever again. He's done with that. Can he improve? This is the season that determines that. Do not forget how young he still is, as he made his major league debut at 21 years old. 2027 is an arbitration eligible, and he cannot become a free agent until 2030. So would the Reds show a desire to tie him up long term? Could they get him for something like 8 years, $150 million? Would you want an Elly De La Cruz for that? I don't know, I would. I wish the Reds would lock him up. Now, speaking of millions, Kyle Tucker of the Dodgers. Is he overpaid? Is he? 4 years, $240 million? Personally, I think it's insane. This is the contract that's terrible for baseball. This year will determine if this player is worth investing in long term. Now, I've said for years now that he compares to Austin Riley of the Braves and his offensive production, so let's compare them after this season and see if I'm clueless or not. He is not worth what the Dodgers are paying him, so I think he should enjoy the 4 years in Dodger land. Well, that's a wrap on today's show. I hope you enjoyed our 7th episode of Season 3 of Mo's World, the baseball podcast. We've decided now to do a new in-season schedule for releasing new episodes every other Friday. So you won't see a new episode weekly, but every other Friday. Yep. So make sure you look for our next episode, which will air on April 10th, 2026. Each episode is approximately 20 minutes long. Thank you for listening, And please spread the word to your friends. In the meantime, ask yourself, whose world is it? It's Moe's world.
Awesome!